Okay, let's dive right into this. From a tiny island in the Atlantic to the absolute pinnacle of global sports, Cristiano Ronaldo's journey is, well, it's nothing short of legendary. Today, we're diving into an explainer of his career, unpacking exactly how a boy from Madeira transformed sheer willpower into world domination. And then, we're going to put his era-defining club achievements head-to-head against his record-breaking international career to see how they truly measure up.
There have been a few players described as the new George Best over the years, but this is the first time it's been a compliment to me. The legendary George Best said that back in 2003, and wow, it perfectly captures the suffocating expectations placed on an 18-year-old kid arriving in England. Ronaldo had just been handed the iconic number 7 shirt from Manchester United. We're talking about a shirt worn by Best himself, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham. The pressure was unbelievable. But he didn't just wear the shirt. He used that pressure as an incredible source of fuel to forge his own path.
So here's our agenda for today. First up, from Madeira to Lisbon. Number 2, rise to global dominance. Third, history with Portugal. And finally, club versus international success.
Section 1. From Madeira to Lisbon. Let's rewind to the very beginning. Born in Funchal, Madeira, Ronaldo grew up in a profoundly impoverished home, sharing a single, cramped room with his 3 older siblings. It is so crucial to understand these roots because they're basically the engine of his legendary work ethic. His mom worked tirelessly as a cook and cleaner just to put food on the table, and his dad was a municipal gardener and a kit man who struggled deeply with the trauma of serving in the war. You know, these incredibly tough beginnings forged this unbreakable, relentless drive in him. He realized super early on that football was his ticket out.
1,500 pounds. It's kind of crazy to think about now, right? But that tiny fee is all Sporting CP paid for a 12-year-old Ronaldo after a 3-day trial back in 1997. It sounds like an absolute steal today, but for a kid from a struggling family, it was the start of everything. He left the familiar shores of his island, relocated to Lisbon, and completely dedicated himself to the youth system, turning his homesickness into an absolute obsession with improving his game.
Once he was in that academy, things moved at lightning speed. By 14, he was struggling with school duties but absolutely convinced he had what it took to play professionally. So he made a massive all-or-nothing gamble. With his mother's agreement, he dropped out of school entirely to chase football. If he failed, there was literally zero fallback plan. But by age 17, in 2002, the bet paid off. He made his professional debut in a Champions League qualifying round.
Section 2. Rise to global dominance.
His ascent from there was breathtakingly fast. Just a year after his pro debut, he dazzled Manchester United in a friendly so badly that their own players actually begged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign him on the flight home. Within days, United bought him for £12 million. Fast forward to 2008, at just 23 years old, he wins his first Ballon d'Or, officially recognized as the best player on the planet. And then, a year later, the earth-shattering move. 94 million euros. That world record fee in 2009 took him to Real Madrid. And he didn't just join the team, he totally revolutionized his style of play. He went from being a flashy winger into the most lethal, ruthlessly efficient forward the world had ever seen, becoming the absolute centerpiece of Madrid's resurgence as a terrifying European superpower.
His consistency is just unmatched. We are talking 5 Champions League titles and 5 Ballon d'Or awards, over 970 official senior career goals. It's frankly an absurd number. Plus, he's the only player in history to be the top scorer in 4 different domestic leagues, doing it in England, Spain, Italy, and Saudi Arabia. He didn't just conquer one league. He packed his bags, learned a new culture, and dominated everywhere he went.
And then there's the number 140. That number stands entirely alone as the all-time record for goals scored in the UEFA Champions League. To put that into perspective, he's literally outscored entire historic clubs in Europe's biggest competition. Oh, and he also holds the record for most assists in the tournament with 42. When the lights were the brightest, he was the undeniable catalyst, cementing his status as the ultimate big-game player.
Section 3. History with Portugal. But his story isn't just about club football. Spanning well over 2 decades, his international timeline is a total emotional roller coaster. He made his debut in 2003, suffered the devastating heartbreak of losing the Euro 2004 final on home soil, but he kept coming back. After years of near misses, he finally experienced the ultimate triumph, delivering Portugal's first ever major tournament title at Euro 2016. And looking ahead to 2026, he's on track to attempt something completely unthinkable, scoring in a 6th World Cup.
232. He holds the absolute world record as history's most capped male player, with 232 appearances for his country. Think about the physical toll and the mental dedication required to stay at the very top of the sport for that long. He has quite literally carried the hopes of his nation on his shoulders for an entire generation.
So, with all these staggering numbers on both sides of his career, we have to ask a really fascinating question. Where does his true legacy actually lie? How do these two distinct, historic paths stack up against each other?
Which brings us to Section 4, Club versus International Success.
When you weigh these two legacies, the contrast is super interesting. On one hand, you have his sheer repetitive club dominance, 5 Champions Leagues, multiple domestic titles, 5 Ballon d'Ors. It's a relentless accumulation of silverware. On the other hand, you have his historic international milestones, delivering a European Championship, 2 Nations Leagues, and scoring a mind-boggling 146 goals for Portugal.
Looking at the raw data, the club stats are obviously much larger, simply because of the sheer volume of club games played every single season. You're looking at 32 major club trophies versus 3 international ones. Over 1,000 appearances and 824-plus goals for his clubs completely dwarfs his international tally. But remember, those international figures are unprecedented, all-time world records. No male player in history has played more times or scored more goals for their country.
So out of his 970-plus total career goals, club goals inevitably make up the massive bulk of his life's work. But that smaller slice, those 146 international goals, that is the absolute summit of the sport. It's the all-time international scoring record. What this incredible volume of goals proves is that no matter the setting, no matter what color shirt he puts on, the outcome is always the same. He finds the back of the net.
Ultimately, the source material for this explainer defines him as a true game-changer who has conquered every single domain he stepped into, whether it was arriving in Lisbon as a skinny teenager with everything to prove, taking the Premier League by storm, dominating with Real Madrid year after year, or lifting a major trophy for Portugal. He has consistently delivered under the most intense pressure imaginable.
So having seen the timelines and the immense scale of his achievements, I'm going to leave you with a provocative thought today. What do you value more when judging a career? Is it relentless, week-in, week-out club supremacy and accumulating Champions League rings? Or is it the rare, defining glory of lifting your nation to unprecedented heights? Whichever side you choose, the numbers prove one thing for certain. Cristiano Ronaldo absolutely mastered both.